Hey guys, it's your boy, Sage the Mark, here with IRWP. We're going to be talking about the evolution of CM Punk, episode 2, a little bit crazy. As always, thank you so much for the support that you guys have shown for our podcast. Please be sure to take, comment, join the conversation at hashtag IRWP. So take your questions live as we're going through this here. As we did for the last episode, we do have our returning special jobber, Ooh, the God. Say what's up, Guru.
What's up? What's up?
How's your day been going?
And it's been going real slow, but it's gone.
Real slow. So we got some pretty good feedback from the last shows. How'd you feel about it?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't read it. I didn't really know how to. I'm illiterate. Too many punches to the face.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know what you mean, man. You got to get back.
the
You got to
people,
get into that wrestling, bro. Get that
the
swan
people's like,
dive. Oh man. So first off, appreciate you coming on with us and sharing your insights and into this. So we're gonna just jump right into it like we did last week, bro. So we 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 watched episode 2, which was titled a little bit crazy. In this episode, it was the good majority of this episode was centered around his relationship with AJ Brooks, or as everyone else may know her, AJ Lee from the WWE. Here, she was expressing, pretty adamantly how uncomfortable she felt, seeing him in the ring doing, the sparring and taking punches, and as a spouse, I can certainly understand that. It's always going to be uncomfortable. Heck, when we went to see you in Oklahoma, it was hard for me to see you, take punches while you were in the cage. But I was just curious, man, as a spouse, like how did your wife feel about it when you were in the cage? Like, was is it just similar to what AJ was feeling, or is it different? Did she
uh,
even go? Let us know.
I mean, I don't know if she more so had like one reaction. I think there was two separate occasions with two separate reactions. I think the first time she actually saw me training, uh, I think she kind of was a little nervous about it. There was times where I would fight, I'd stay in the middle, and every 2 minutes a fresh man would come in, and I would start to get hit more and more and more as the time went on. So I think, and there was times where she was uneasy about that, and I think just the jitters of knowing when we get to cage day, knowing that your significant other could be put to sleep brutally. Uh, it can happen, and I think it's something that your spouse deals with. Uh, but no, I don't think she reacted crazy. I think she was still nervous, uptight about it. But I mean, once it's over, it's over. It's kind of a relief. Whether you win or lose, I think it's a relief that it's finally just over.
Mhm. So you feel kind of like AJ's response, in the show was kind of or normal.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that she's abnormal in her reactions with anything. I think she has a kind of a what do you call it, like a head of it, because she gets to have all that time from the wrestling circuit that she did, being in front of thousands and thousands of people. You don't get that stage fright as much. So I don't think that
Hmm.
her being worried about her husband in front of people, I think it's just more so his well being that she's worried about. I mean, that's common with anyone's spouse or significant other. Anyone you
Awesome,
care about,
awesome.
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it can never be easy to see a loved one in there. It's taking punches and receiving. I mean, you always want them to go unscathed and everything like that. So
Yeah.
I definitely get that. So, um, during they also showed, during week 16 that he was going through like the wellness center to kind of help control his weight. I don't remember off like the top of my head where exactly his weight class was, or what his weight
He
was
was,
in proportion to what his class was. Do you remember?
in the 19, I think it was 196, and he needs to be at 170.
At 170. So it was pretty funny. He kept joking around that, that he was fat, but the nutritionist was saying that, he was, right on par. And keep in mind, again, this is about a year, still about a year, a little less than a year out from fight night. But knowing that he has to cut weight, what's the best approach? It seems like he wanted to cut it as quickly as possible. And I don't know if that's ever a good thing. I know that when I cut weight, like I cut 20 pounds in 1 month, doing the Ramadan thing, and as soon as that was over and I went to play basketball, I ended up blowing out my shoulder. And I don't know if that's, one of the dangers of cutting weight too much when you're in a physical sport or when you're in something like that. But what are your thoughts on, where he felt like he was going to be versus how quickly he wanted to lose that weight?
Well, I can speak on both sides of the spectrum when it comes to fast cutting and gradual cutting. I have fast cut before. Matter of fact, my fight in Memphis, you went to that one, and I had cut. I want to say almost 30 pounds in 6 weeks. Uh, I decided to fight at 205, and I was walking around 235, 240, and I died. Like, I was hurting, I was stressed out, I was miserable, weak, lethargic. You just can't on a quick cut. I mean, it's one thing if you're taking it. I was fighting for a championship fight, so I'm not gonna not make it. You know what I mean? It's an
Right.
opportunity that hardly knocks. So, but gradually, there's times where I've done it gradually, and I get in there, I feel great, I feel fast, I feel awesome. I think the way he's approaching it in that episode, and I haven't gone further on in that episode. I think the way he's approaching it is extremely wrong. Being that, first off, he has no experience fighting with or without a weight cut. You know what I mean? Do it the smartest way you can. I don't think that him cutting 26 pounds, you know, and a month is healthy for your first time fighter. I think
Right,
you should.
because wasn't he supposed to take a fight? I know that in episode 3, we go into him actually having a setback and an injury, but before that, didn't didn't he, if I'm not mistaken, his fight was supposed to be within a couple of months from
Yeah.
August or September of last year, right? Before the
Yes.
injury?
Yes.
Yeah, so then he would have had to cut that significant weight pretty
He
quickly,
would have
and
had
that's what
less.
you're talking about,
He
right?
would have had less than 6 weeks to cut that weight. Uh, because during fight week, you're not training. You're going over movements. You're hitting pads, but you're not sparring anymore. You're either there and trying your best to maintain it. Maybe you have to cut 1 to 3 pounds on weigh-ins.
Hmm.
Or you're doing it the hard way and you're killing yourself that last week. Uh, but you should be gradually. You should be there before fight week, and I think that he was going about the wrong way.
Okay. Um, how do you feel like they were showing some more sparring and um, more movement of him than from the first episode. How do you feel? I think it may be in like a 2 or 3 week time span in between. How do you feel like his transition is going, as opposed to episode 1?
Honestly, I want to say that man, I think personally he did 20 times better than episode 1. Is it enough? No, not to me. I don't think that he's there enough. I saw when he gets hit, he's still instead of rethinking it and checking it, he leaves his face open again and just tries to defend by putting his arms out, trying to hit something,
Hmm.
to stop the hits from hitting him instead of recollecting himself and going for another point of attack. His clinch game actually looked pretty good. And that's what one thing I was looking at when I was watching it was his ability to clinch under pressure was pretty freaking amazing for a guy with no training. And 3 weeks in, I think that's pretty good. I think that his default defense, that's the defense you run to uh, naturally. It's like your natural what you're going to do when you're in trouble. I think that's his default defense is pretty freaking good. I think his guard was decent for someone who hasn't fought before, and is only in 3 weeks of training. His stand up is about average for someone who's at 3 weeks of training. You know, a combat sport like this.
Hmm.
He's making basic amateur mistakes with the whole throwing his punches and hooking them. You know, he's not throwing them and bringing them back and guarding his chin. He's just throwing them out there and he drops his arm.
Hmm.
You know, but I think that he's in the right camp where they're going to make him pay for it then, so he doesn't have to do it during fight night.
So how often do you think that he's training per week?
I think he's probably training at least 4 to 5 days a week, sparring at least once.
Okay.
From the way it looks like to me, it looks like he's doing 1 day of sparring. You know, it looks like he's doing some type of calisthenics slash weight training day. Another day looks like a boxing day. Another day looks like a grappling day. You know, so I don't think that everything you saw in that episode all happens in 1 day. That's just not how it works. I think that he's doing maybe 4 to 5 days a week training and 1 day sparring every
And
week.
what's ideally for, was it the weight class is 190, right? Or 170?
No, he's
170. Like typically, going back to the whole, the food, that you're supposed to be doing, like what's kind of the best food? Like what type of food would he be eating or not eating or staying away from to cut down to the weight that he needs to be to? Is it all lettuce food, all rabbit food, or
no, that's a misconception. You know,
okay?
it's really it's really all in serving size, man. I mean, you do need to have lean meats. You need to have low carb veggies. Stay away from like grains and stuff like that. You know, you should have at least a grain in the morning, but you should kind of taper off through the afternoon and nighttime. But lean meats, low carb veggies, and limit your grains. That's what you should be eating. People do this vegetarian and fruit diet trying to cut weight, but it only makes it worse because when you put it back on, you put it back on ferociously. So that's the reason why I fight heavyweight.
You don't want to look like a turtle.
uh, man,
Yeah, so I think a little later on in the particular episode, um, there was a segment where after Punk and AJ moved into their new apartment, I think it was just to be kind of closer to where the gym was, so that the commute wasn't as great than
yeah,
back in Chicago. Punk has a conversation with Dana, and you know, Dana kind of acknowledges that his trend or um, he kind of acknowledges that the transition of people's attitudes towards punk have, they've changed, not greatly, but people are starting to take him a bit more serious. And I'm not sure how much of that was, for the cameras versus like the reality of the situation. Um, in the past week or so, looked out, through social media just to kind of see what people's sentiments are versus what they were, a year and a half, 2 years ago when he announced that he was coming to the UFC. And for the most part, I would say that it's more of a, maybe a 60-40, maybe even a 50-50 split in terms of attitudes versus a 95 to 5 split in the negative direction. Would you say that that's pretty accurate, or how do you
uh,
feel?
I don't think it's completely accurate. I think that in the beginning, I would say about 95 to 5 in the beginning, very negative. Uh, I was one of the 95 was negative against it, but it's not so much that I hate CM Punk. It's the steps that why he's fighting. What I hated, uh, how people work hard and go in there and they create an amateur career, they create a pro career, and they're still not, you know, looked at by UFC, the top organization. And this guy leaves wrestling and signs a paper, and he's
Hmm.
fighting with no experience. You know, no, there's no sweat on that mat from him. And I can see, like I said, on this side of the spectrum, I can see where people get upset with that.
So
Uh,
let me ask you a quick question, just on that same thought. So, and I hear that comment a lot, that he should have started at the amateurs. He shouldn't have had a fast track shot at at the professionals. But I mean, if the roles are reversed, which it has been in the past, why is it okay for like a Ken Shamrock or a Dan Severn, or even a Mayweather, even if it's just for one night, to fast track it to the professionals versus going to the indies?
Well, are you talking about like fighters going into wrestling?
Correct.
Is that the question? Like you're asking
That's
why is it
yeah,
okay for
that's the
fighters?
question.
Well,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
boils down to because wrestling is an entertainment business. They're there to put
Oh,
asses
it's
on
all
seats.
it's all entertainment, man. I mean, the whole
Right.
game,
But
whether it's wrestling, whether it's boxing, whether it's Barnum and Bailey Circus, it's all about putting asses in seats. But why is
this is
why is there a double
the,
standard?
it's not a double standard. There's a difference between it. The difference is one of them I make my own record by winning or losing. The other one, the writer makes my record. He decides if I win or lose. Despite how good I wrestle, I'm not taking anything away from his ability to perform on the stage. But despite how good I can wrestle, it's still not up to me. My record's not up to me. It's up
Okay.
to the crowd. It's up to reaction. When I get into the cage, that record belongs to me. Whether I fail or whether I succeed, that doing is my doing.
Do you feel like it's
You
just
know,
more
it's
important because it
I
it
mean, Mayweather is the reason Mayweather makes $100 million, whether you like him or not.
Mhm.
His ability to draw that crowd is the reason why he makes that money. Pacquiao's the same way. Shamrock's the same way. His ability to people want to see someone get knocked out, and they know he's the guy to do it. That's going to sell the fight. But he's proven that, and that's the real thing.
Mhm.
He did that. It wasn't done for him.
I still think they need to go to the damn Indies, bro. Lucha Underground needs them, bro. There's a future for you, Nate Diaz. We got to go
Yeah,
to
right.
Lucha Underground first. You can't go to WWE. All right. Well, we may even
Uh,
accept you in TNA, but so yeah, that's fair enough. I get it. It's just it's a double standard, But
it's. I mean, the casual wrestling fan's gonna call it a double standard, and I can say I take nothing away
I'm
from
not
their
casual,
performance.
bruh.
Okay, well, the the wrestling fan, the avid
Okay.
wrestling fan, is gonna
All right.
call it
We
a
like to
double
call
standard.
ourselves the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, just so that you know.
Well, then the IWC, there might be a double standard to them, but truly, it's not. It's just there's a slight difference in the way the sports are ran, and I think that difference makes the difference. So
Awesome. Cool, cool. Yeah, I'm just messing with you, bro. I know how wild up you get with that stuff.
yeah,
So yeah, so I mean that was pretty much the episode. The episode itself was pretty short. I think it was maybe 23 minutes or longer or so. The one thing that I think that this episode did right, and I think that it kind of helped change the perspective of some of the naysayers, not all of them, but some of them, is that it showed how human CM Punk was. Because CM Punk is traditionally, and I said this in the first episode, he's a pretty private guy. He doesn't really let people into his personal life, and you got to see more of that personal life, especially with his relationship with AJ. And you get to see how supportive she is to him, and vice versa, how he's so supportive to her. And I think that that's pretty important in a relationship and overall success in a career. Would you agree?
yeah, that's one thing I want to say that I did notice on the episode itself is that when I was watching it, I realized that, man, this is one of the first times I've actually seen CM Punk act human. He's not in underwear and taped up hands with X's on him.
Yeah,
This guy lives a normal life. He has a dog that's peeing on his floor. He
all
had
over that floor.
yeah, and he moves into an apartment with absolutely nothing, and I can relate to that. I've done that many times. You don't have shit, not even a fucking trash can. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And it shows you that this guy is human. When I see him spar and take a hit, it doesn't make me feel good that he's getting hit, but it makes me feel good to see him get hit and realize that, what, this guy is at a place that I once was at. This guy is human. No matter how popular he is, he's still a human. And you get to see not his like vulnerable side,
Mhm.
but you get to see his human side. You know what I mean? Pretty much. And this guy is just like you and me, just with a lot more money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I thought that that was probably one of the best parts of this episode was just the fact that how human he was, and he's just, I mean, he's a regular guy. Yes, he's popular because of his accolades in wrestling, but at the end of the day, he made it very clear that he was doing this for no other reason than for his own self goals. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about show business. It was just more of this is something that he's always wanted to do. And I mean, in a sense, even though he hasn't gone through the amateur route to do it, he did, he is starting from the ground up. He has, you know, got his goals set. He's got the right support system behind him, both in the school, his friends and family, and things of that nature. So, I like it. I'm not trying not to speak too much as a mark, but just more of as a fan of the sport altogether. So,
Yeah.
anything in particular about the episode that you didn't like?
Uh, man, I noticed a couple. Like I said, not so much I didn't like, but I guess the things I would see in his game that I feel like uh at week 3 he should be a lot sharper at. I mean, that's probably only thing I really take out the episode. I'm very surgical when I see people fight, and I always look at their hands or I look at their feet. I think that his hands would be 10 times better if his feet cooperated with him.
Mhm.
I think that he's still not trusting enough of his grappling coach. I see him on the ground and panicking right away. I mean, he's great. Like I said, when he's doing the takedown, he was fantastic. But when the takedown was starting to get stuffed, and when he was giving up, I mean, he pretty much gave up his back and got choked. You know, I just think that there's some things at that point, even at week 3, and it sounds crazy to the average person listening, like you can't learn nothing in 3 weeks. No, you do. You learn quite a bit, and the
Mhm.
first thing you learn is the mistakes that you've made for the last 3 weeks, which is giving up your back, giving your neck, hooking your punches. You're not going to know how to throw the perfect hook, but you're going to damn near be right there with the perfect jab. You know what I mean? And that's the things I think. Like I said, I don't think that it is bad. I just think that he should be a little more ahead than that at 3 weeks.
So, seeing where this episode was, and I know it wasn't much of a difference. Do you feel like he fares a bit better against Mickey Gall, or you still, your opinion from the first episode really hasn't changed in terms of ability?
As in do I think that he has a chance right now of beating Mickey Gall?
Based off of just the first two episodes.
Off the first 2 episodes, I say he has a puncher's chance of beating Mickey Gall.
Okay.
You know,
So like a
like
one hitter quitter.
yeah, if he connects, like I said, anyone. I mean, McGregor could knock out Brock Lesnar if he hit him the right way. Will it happen? Probably fucking not. But I think the same thing with Punk. I think that if he gets that one good shot, he has a puncher's chance. But I think when it comes to abilities of Gall versus abilities of Punk, based on what I seen I mean, this is a year ago almost.
Hmm.
Based on what I seen, nah. I mean, but we don't know what CM Punk is coming. He's had a couple of back surgery or shoulder surgery, and I'm sure he's been at least in the gym watching while he was recovering, uh, studying. So I think we're going to see a different
Yeah,
of what we see CM Punk do on Saturday versus what we see him do right now. You're looking at a whole nother CM Punk on Saturday.
yeah,
This
and then
this I think this TV is blinding people because you're going to see something different when he comes out. I think
oh,
a
it
year
definitely.
plus is
Yeah, because your episode two is like it's still like it's 12 months from basically 12 months from now, or 13 months from now. So definitely, what we're seeing now is nothing compared to where he is now. And I think that when we go through the episode three, you'll actually see a little bit more in terms of like his progression because it takes place after he's had his surgery and after he's gone through PT physical training of his shoulder and going back in there. So we'll definitely explore that more in the next episode. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was a solid thing. I'm like you. I want to see more from his ground game. Um, anyone can strike. It's really your ground game. Once he gets you on the ground, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna panic? Are you not gonna panic? Um, you know, because you only have a split second, and you make a wrong mistake, and you end
Yeah,
up in a rear naked choke, or you know what I mean. So,
and I know I do
but yeah,
I do want to tell the people who watch this that I'm not by no means biased with Mickey Gall because he's a fighter, not a wrestler. I call it how I see it. Like I said earlier, I was one of the 95% who was hating with CM Punk. I didn't like the idea of it. But now I'm with the majority of people who respect the decision he makes. I feel like he's been deterred a couple times with his shoulder, with his back, but to still put yourself through that training and put yourself through that punishment and still not give up. Nah, I got a lot of respect for that. You chase your dreams, and you've proven that you're on this chase for real. And whether he wins or lose, I'm still proud of the dude for doing it.
yeah. The same there. I, I kind of wish that the other fighters in there would kind of drop the Macho Man promo gimmick thing and just give credit where credit is due.
Half that shit talk, they're just trying to hype up something so they can get an easy payday.
Yeah, pretty much, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, because he's gonna draw in the money where they won't be able to, right? You're drawing in the wrestling fans to watch it, right?
It's,
Both the old school wrestling fans and the new school wrestling fans. You're bringing them in to watch this fight, which is lining your pockets even more. So,
yeah.
let me, off this episode here, but. You still want to see JDF versus Punk?
JDF.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, who's
Green
this?
Ranger, great Green Ranger.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I thought that was gonna be the fight. I really did. When I heard that there was some shit there between them two, and Green Ranger was talking about going and meeting Punk at whatever weight he wanted to. Uh, I mean that I don't care how much fucking Punk trained, he would have got his ass torn out by by Green Ranger. I mean, I don't give a shit what he's training in, but
In terms of the viewership, do you think that there would have been more people to watch JDF
oh, absolutely.
versus Punk?
I think anybody in there, I would say from 25 to 37 would be all over that fight. Not to mention just your new UFC fans, but anyone who grew up when we grew up, watching Power Rangers, watching Tommy, the one that everybody wanted to be, wrestling.
Ah, see,
You
see,
know, what I'm saying
yeah, see,
wrestling, wrestling the I would say one of the top 10 wrestlers of all time. I'm not a big wrestling fan, but I think he was extremely entertaining. I would put him in the top 10 if you ask me.
yeah,
But two huge names like that, I think it would have fucking shattered Mickey Gall's bullshit ass, fight numbers.
yeah.
Mickey
You
Gall's,
think it would have? You think it would have been bigger than UFC 200?
uh, yeah, that was a bust, bro. 200,
Well,
two,
200 before the fallout,
uh,
or
nah,
fallouts. You
nah,
think it would have been bigger?
absolutely not. There's nothing gonna pull in when you have Lesnar and Jones. Uh, people want to see Lesnar fight. Everyone wants to see Jones and DC fight. Nah, there would have been the only thing that would have made that hotter is they had it Silva versus GSP.
Hmm.
That's it. I mean, there's nothing bigger than 200 before the fallout. I don't think there was.
Okay. Just curious, little, we sometimes do a little dream matching on this show,
But
it's,
I do think it would have pulled at least a million. I definitely agree with that. I think it would have pulled
oh,
over a million. I do.
hey, you never know, man. He's still got more fights to go. So, I don't know. I mean, Dana's kind of been adamant about not entertaining that for some reason. So, I think it's easy payday, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's easy money,
So,
but he's far beyond CM
yeah,
Punk skill. So
Yeah, true that. So
I
you
think
definitely
that's
want to give him
like,
a fight a chance. I think that would be good for maybe 7 or 8 fights in.
yeah.
If he's not getting demolished here and there, maybe that would be good. But yeah, but that's pretty much it, man. Anything that we didn't cover on the episode that you wanted to touch on?
Nah, I think that's pretty cut and dry. I don't think they still yet they have showcased last year's CM Punk enough. I don't think they have showcased his talent. I think they're giving us his lifestyle right now, but not really his talent and his fighting style, and that's what we need to start seeing more of.
Yeah, because we don't. Yeah, exactly. We don't know what exactly he's great at, and what, and maybe that's kind of good in a way because you don't know what to really expect.
Yeah.
So, but I think that episode 3 will definitely give us a bit more direction when we review it. Episode 4 just dropped, I think, today, so I'll be going through that as well, and then hopefully we can get that done before this coming Friday, and then get the predictions out on the full UFC predictions out on Saturday afternoon. So. But yeah, I mean that's going to be our show for today. I appreciate you coming on and giving us your insights as always. And hopefully we didn't scare you away for another 2 episodes.
Nope, I'll be back.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much for continuing to support IRWP. You can visit us on our website at IRWP.us. Follow us on Twitter at Real WrestleCast. If you're looking at this on YouTube, please subscribe as well, like and share this video. We greatly appreciate it. Get the word out. I am Sage the Mark. You can find me on Twitter at Sage the Mark. Ben Goosen was my co-host. He ain't here right now because he's preparing for a wedding. And congratulations on your upcoming wedding, buddy. You can find him at Ben_Goosen. And also follow us on Twitter at Real WrestleCast. We're still working on getting old Guru the God to get a Twitter account. So, we'll hopefully we'll get that soon. So thanks again, guys, and have a great night. Sage the Mark out.